The 950. And now, Houston Real Estate Radio.
You're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio. Each week we bring you industry news and information you can use on your next real estate transaction. If you have questions, you can tweet those to us at hashtag HRER, and you can also call us with your questions, 281-882-8088. We are happy to answer your real estate questions on the air. Make sure you like us on Facebook because we post all of our videos from the show on our fan page. So today, James and I have Jeff Shore joining us. He is Skyping in from California, and in the last segment, he gave us a really great market update of what's going on out there. And now I'd really like to talk about some exciting news. He has a new book out, The 4-2 Formula. So it's very exciting that you have this new book out, and it's got a great variety in it because it has a lot for the salespeople in the builder market. It has a lot for realtors, and it has consumer information as well. So it's a great book, The 4-2 Formula.
Well, thank you very much. It's exciting for me to have that book out there. It's really a sort of a different kind of a book. It's written largely for sales professionals, whether that be realtors or new home salespeople. But it's really about understanding the customer on a deeper level than most people do. And the premise of the book is that normally when we're in that process of buying anything, a home, a car, jewelry, it doesn't matter what it is. When we're talking to a salesperson, the majority of salespeople tend to be focused in on what that consumer is moving to. And I would contend that you really want to start with what that customer is coming from. So why is that customer thinking about purchasing a home in the first place? And it's actually a really healthy place, psychology, for a home buyer to begin their search.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think it can be applied, like you said, it really can be applied to any salesperson's career,
Sure.
For sure.
It really can, because one of the important premises of the book is that we all buy a home for essentially the same reason, and that is that we have a desire to improve our situation, to improve our lives in some ways. And this implies that something needs improving. There's something about the customer's life that is not right. Mm-hmm. And so, you could look at it and say, well, I'm on a housing search, or I could look at it and say, I'm going to search here to improve my life. So as a consumer, then, it would be wise, before we start thinking about what we are moving to spend a little more time thinking about what we are coming from, and those base dissatisfactions that cause a move in the first place.
I know that you've got a lot of, you speak about the fears of most buyers, and we talked about in the last segment how a lot of people are apprehensive about getting back into the market after the recession, and then there's also the general fear of making that large of a purchase. It's a large purchase for some people.
There's no question about it, and I would extend that conversation, James, quite a bit further than that. There is the cost issue. There's economic fears. There is the question of what's going on in the real estate cycle in general. Where are the interest rates? Where are the interest rates going? Did I miss the bottom? Should I wait for more bottom? Mm-hmm. And then beyond those costs, there are just the cost related to moving itself, and the hassle factor, and changing schools for my kids, and just packing up the garage for a house that I've lived in for 10 years. So there are a lot of barriers that would prevent us from moving forward. And I would contend that the number one factor as to why you would move forward in the first place is not even the home that you have found, but it would be, in fact, the dissatisfaction or the pain in your life right now. So if I'm very happy with the home that I'm in right now, there's a name for me: non-buyer. I'm not going to be buying. So there's got to be this level of dissatisfaction that I'm carrying. And I would encourage home buyers to be better connected and have that conversation with their real estate professional about why they're moving in the first place and about what that is, because I can help you so much more as a professional if I know what you're coming from, if I know why you are here in the first place. That's much more valuable information to me than how many bedrooms, how much square footage, what's your price, and when do you want to move.
Boy, that is so true. Love that.
Yeah, very much so. So, and you also talk in the book about trust building between the agent and the buyer. You know, that relationship is very, very important, and a lot of agents miss that mark. And you know, not because they're not trained or not able to, you know, not trustworthy, I guess you could say, but but because they're not, you know, different personality styles call for different methods of approach, I would say.
I would. That's absolutely right, especially given the fact that when you look at what home buyers are going through, that dissatisfaction, that problem, that's whatever is wrong with their life, oftentimes runs deep emotionally. And if they're not well connected to their professional, that professional is, they don't even want to divulge that. So I'm thinking of a quick case study of a customer who walked into an open house, started to talk to the realtor a little bit, and after about 45 minutes in this conversation, finally divulged, this is an older couple, finally divulged to this real estate salesperson, that their grandson had drowned in their pool, in their own backyard. Now, these people were living in their own private hell. They were in their own haunted house, right? But here's the thing. As a real estate professional, how important is that piece of information? And I would suggest that that's about the most important thing you can know about what these people are going through if you really want to help them on a deep level. But in this case, it took 45 minutes for that to come out. And how many conversations did you have in the meantime that could have been damaging to that relationship? So I would contend that one of the most important things that a real estate professional needs to do is understand that customer's pain and to understand it on a deep level. And that's where that trust comes in. In the absence of that trust, I'm sorry, as a consumer, I'm not going to open up my life and say, here's everything you need to know about me, until there is a significant level of trust along those lines.
Well, and it's not just the realtor. There's so many people involved. And, you know, I think that the more educated consumers are, the easier the home buying process is, because they've got to work with, you know, or they have to understand, they may not talk to them directly, but they have to understand the survey, the appraisal, what the title company's doing for them, and the realtor, and, you know, all these different parts, the lender. There's so many different things going on. The more educated they are, the better. And that's one reason why we do the radio show. It's a reason why we have our blog, and why we do all the things that we do to try to really educate consumers, because the more educated they are, the easier the transaction is for us and them. And I think that when they, I think that part of them trusting us is the fact that we have given them so much information, whether it's through a blog or through social media of a different sort, or the radio, you know, however they're getting their information, videos. You know, I think that that's how they start that trust process.
I think that's absolutely right. And it's a really interesting dynamic when you think about it, because there's no question that that consumer, that home buyer, needs a whole lot of information that they can get from that real estate professional. But I would also say you could turn that right around and say that real estate professional needs a whole lot of information from that customer.
That's right.
So I think that early on, one of the problems that both consumers and real estate agents make is that they want to get to the home that I want to show you so quickly that we're not quite sure why we're showing it, or the customer's not quite sure why we're even looking at it. That conversation, to me, the best conversation probably starts sitting down and having a cup of coffee and just chatting a little bit about why you're here and what's going on and why this makes sense for this time in your life to be making this move. If I can understand the backstory, then I'll have everything figured out. And just as a personal example, my wife and I recently sold our home. We're in the market for a home. Unfortunately, where we're looking in California, it's just a red-hot market. It's hard to find anything right now. But the question is why? Why did we sell the home in the first place? Well, if you know me well, you'll understand. All three of my kids grew up and moved away. I had 5 acres that was getting harder and harder to maintain. I have a pool I didn't swim in. And then you'll probably also want to know that my dog got bit by a rattlesnake in our backyard. And after that, my wife was sort of deathly afraid to let the dog out in our own backyard. So, what happens then? The dissatisfaction over time rises, and now I have to make a move. It would be wise for my real estate professional to understand these factors.
Definitely.
Jeff, how can people contact you, and how can we get in touch with you if we want to buy the book?
The best way, either way, is just to go to my website. It's jeffshore.com, jeffshore.com. And there you'll see, if you're a real estate professional, you're going to see, blogs and interesting links to videos that might help you. There's also a link, of course, to buy the book if you're interested in that as well.
The book is called The 4-2 Formula. Jeff Shore is the author. He's a real estate consultant who works with home builders across the U.S. I'm James Brown.
And I'm Shannon Register.
And you're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio. Join us here next Sunday at 1 o'clock.